Hi, I'm Brandon Lucero, and you're about to experience the new way to thrive in business, entrepreneurship, and life by leaning into who you are, what you love, and standing up for what you want to create. Get ready, because this is where we go against the grain, say no to outdated society norms, and we say yes to change in order to create a happier, more fulfilled world. Welcome to the New Generation Entrepreneur Podcast. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this episode of the New Generation Entrepreneur Podcast. This episode is going to be a little bit different. This episode is basically a call to action. This episode is a announcement. It is a final stand. And for those of you who don't know, because you've been living underneath a rock, our program, New Generation Mastery, it's our signature messaging program, is open right now. This is the one time a year that it is open. It is open for enrollment. If you miss it, you have to wait another year to get into the program. So what I wanted to do in this episode is talk about some of the biggest problems and mistakes that are happening with your messaging right now. Because most of you guys have probably been a listener of the podcast for a while, or you've binged some of the episodes. And if you listen to this podcast, yes, we talk about things besides messaging. But if you are a listener of this podcast, you get value from this podcast, chances are you have some messaging issues. You have some communication issues. And this could show up in a number of different ways. This could be that your content's not really landing or getting the engagement you want. This could mean your ads aren't converting. This could mean that your emails are not really getting opened. This could mean, most importantly, that you're just not hitting the sales that you want. And most of you, especially you listening right now, are probably confused because you've spent a lot of time getting the certifications, the degrees, getting the education, or the experience. You know you're good at what you do. You have, again, the knowledge, you have the skills, you have the experience to be able to help people in some way or another. And that could be just like helping them learn guitar all the way to helping them with health issues. It could be helping them lose weight to helping them learn yoga, mindfulness. We've had people come into our program that are literally teaching parents how to potty train their toddlers. There's even how to overcome picky eating. There's just so many issues going on in the world. And here you are with the skills, with the knowledge, with the know-how on how to help someone. But if you're here and you're listening to this and you're still like absorbing all the messaging and trying to do new things and trying new pieces of content and taking these tips that we give on the podcast and implement them, and you're still not hitting the results, it's time. It's time for you to make a decision of, do I want to get the help that I know I need, or do I want to wait another year? And that may be harsh, it may be blunt, it may be too in your face, but it doesn't really matter, because that's literally the choice that you have. And so if you've been sitting here contemplating, how do I get to the next level? How do I scale? How do I get my content to resonate? How do I get the engagement that I want? How do I create demand for my stuff? Well, now's the chance, because at New Generation NGM, New Generation Mastery, is open for enrollment. Now I want to go through some of the highlights of the program and things like that, and some of the stuff to expect and why is it so successful. So one of the things that I always tell people, and to my knowledge, our messaging program is the most testimonial, client result, and case study driven messaging program out there. To my knowledge, I don't know of another messaging program that has more case studies, more results, more testimonials than ours. Could there be another program that has more than ours? Sure. I just have never seen it. And I studied the space pretty well. And the reason why that happens is because what most people don't realize is that messaging is more than just frameworks. And so what I like to do is I like to give the steps, and I like to give the strategies, and I like to give the frameworks and a lot of that stuff on the podcast. And a lot of people think, well, I have the framework. I have Brandon's messaging framework. What do I need the program for? What do I need more help with? And what most people don't realize is, yes, the frameworks are important, but the frameworks are secondary, because the frameworks aren't communication. The frameworks are just steps. The communication that you use within the steps is the gold. And most people, including myself, need an outside perspective. We need to be able to pull the right things. We have blind spots. We're using generalizations when we don't realize we're using generalizations. It's the curse of the coach. Because we have studied so much, we have worked with so many people, we have sort of the wrong lens on when it comes to marketing, because our knowledge and our experience and the help that we can give is so vast that it's hard to sit down and laser in and be disciplined enough and even just have the awareness to pull out the right things that's going to resonate with the audience, because the audience doesn't have your knowledge or your skills or your degrees or your education. They don't have any of that stuff. What they have is a problem, and what they don't have is a solution. And what your job is to do with your messaging is to show them, I understand the problem. I understand where you're at. I want to validate that. I want to make you feel heard. I want you to show you that I understand. I want you I want to raise your awareness so that you know why you're there, that I have an understanding of why you're there. And then I want to bridge the gap and show you what the solution actually is. But again, that takes discipline. It takes discipline because you can't come off too fast, too soon. You can't deliver so much information that you either overwhelm them or confuse them or any of that stuff. So the reason why I tell you this is you have to understand the value in the program. A lot of people think the value in the program is from frameworks, and it's from the content strategy or the exercises. And yes, that stuff is valuable and required. The real magic of the program is helping you pull out the right information you need to nail your communication. And then once we help you dial in the communication, and yes, the exercises and the workshops that we do help you do that, to pull out the right information, we have to put it out into the world, see what the results are, what the behavior is, what the data tells us. And then we can make these decisions and go like, okay, this works, this doesn't work. And what happens is you start to create this messaging ecosystem. You start to create this messaging library. You start to have the core units of what we need for messaging, everything from the struggling avatars to the specific problems that are landing with people, to the different identities, to the values, to the beliefs. All of these messaging elements come together and we test it and we pull out the right things. And we go deeper and layer by layer to pull out exactly what's going to work with your audience, exactly what resonates. And not only do we find out what's working, but we know what's working, and we're not guessing because we're looking at the data, we're looking at the behavior, and we dial in the core of any business online, which is effective communication. Again, it all comes down to messaging elements. Once it's dialed in, now we can plug it into the frameworks, the language patterns, the content frameworks, all of that stuff, the ad frameworks, everything, webinar frameworks, and more. But what it comes down to is understanding the right words, the right problems, the right triggers, the right messaging elements that we know works because we tested it, and then spreading it within your brand. And what starts to happen is more effective content, more effective ads, lower cost leads, more quality in the people coming into your ecosystem. You're attracting the right people, and you're able to create demand so they're reaching out to you saying, I need this. I need to work with you. And so New Generation Mastery is open, and there are 2 levels to it. Okay. So there's New Generation Mastery, which is the first level. And then there's our mentorship, which includes one-on-one calls with coaches. You have me looking over your stuff personally every 2 weeks in a group setting, all of that stuff. But I want to go through the different sections and process of what NGM is. And so section number 1, whether you get into the regular program or the mentorship program, it doesn't matter. But section number 1 is we tackle what I call the invisible messaging elements. So there are things that need to happen inside of your messaging. And I see these destroy brands all over the world. Number 1, like the number 1 element you have to realize is you have to remember who you are. And what this means is, stop looking at your messaging through this lens of, oh, when I do it this way, I attract this person and these people come into my ecosystem and I have to go after these people because these are the ones buying. No, it's you, and you get to choose. You're the light that attracts the audience. Who do you want to work with? You have to understand everyone that's coming into your ecosystem, everyone that's buying right now is a result of your current messaging. If you don't want to work with those people, then stop working with those people. Change the messaging so it attracts who you want. And so inside section number 1, we actually talk about those sorts of elements. Again, I can tell you all the right words to say. I could tell you all the right language patterns. We could do all the right exercises. But after working with over 2,000 people and businesses and course creators, what I've realized is even if you say the right words, but you're not in alignment with what you should be doing, you're not in your dharma, you're not in your purpose, the messaging doesn't matter, especially in a personal brand. If you are not working with who you want to work with, in the way you want to work with them, in the industry that you want to work in, there's nothing that I can do. It just won't work. And so section number 1 makes sure that we're very clear on who you want to attract. You know who you are. You're not doing this because it's what your parents told you to do. It's literally aligning you with where you want to be and what you should be doing. Section number 2 is all about the demand creating messaging ecosystem. This is where we dial in all of your messaging elements. So there's 16 of them. We create this entire document with all the right problems, the mistakes, all these different elements that we need, all the triggers that you're going to have to include in your brand. We start to piece it all together. We start to pull out the right elements, all this stuff, and we start to put it in the right order so you know what goes where and how it goes together. And that way you have what I call like your messaging Bible. It's this thing where you have that you know works. So regardless of where you go, whether it's a sales page or an ad or whatever, you have everything you need to make it effective right there, right in front of you. So this is what we call the demand creating messaging ecosystem. Now, and honestly, this is the magic. This is where the actual communication, the actual triggers are created. Then what we do is we move to section number 3 is we start to plug those messaging elements into the different types of content that you're going to need. So we have different types of educational content. And yes, we have like 6 different ways to do educational content that do not include tutorials. But this is going to be hyper engaging, demand creating, audience building content that you can use. So we're talking connection content, self-identifying content, educational content, thought reversal content. We start to take all of the messaging elements that work together and put them in all the scripts, all the frameworks, all the copy. So you'll never have to guess at what to say, how to say it, or how to put it into content. And then section number 4 is we talk about how to get eyeballs on your content literally overnight or very quickly, whether you want to do it paid or you want to do organic, we cover it all. So again, it doesn't matter if you're starting out from brand spanking new, or you're already at a 7-figure business, or you're at a 6-figure business. If you're plateaued, you don't have clarity in your messaging, you feel like it can be stronger, you don't feel like people understand why they need to work with you. These 4 sections help you nail that. And so what we've done, as the sales page comes out, you guys can go through and look at the different modules. There's so many different modules and videos and workbooks that you guys can go through. And if you're watching on YouTube, I have something for you. You can see it here. It's our workbook. So what we do when everyone joins, we actually mail out a physical workbook. So you can do it by hand, but it has all the frameworks, it has all the exercises. It has all the language patterns. It has examples in it. I mean, it's a full-on book that you get when you enroll inside of NGM. So that's going to be heading out your way. So again, beyond the exposure strategies, which is in section number 4, we talk about connection content. We talk about what to do content, which is educational content. We talk about how to create the powerful topics and titles, the plan, the content plans, the ratios that you should be using, all of that stuff. But we have some bonuses. One of the bonuses that I love is we do this thing. It's like a 90-day action plan to implementation sprint. So for the next 90 days, the first 90 days of when you get inside the program, we walk through what you should be doing, what you should be covering. We're going to give out prizes. We have we call it bingo as well. So it's like a bingo game where each task that you do gives you a point on a bingo board, and you have to clear out the whole board. But it's a 90-day action plan so that you can have the entire program implemented for your first round in 90 days. So you could see results in as little as 90 days. Now, the beauty of this program is it's something that you're going to be able to go through multiple times, meaning once you go through it once, you get your initial sort of data. And some people see amazing results. Like literally, we've seen people go from like 0 to, or not 0, but we've seen some people have like doing $2,000 to $3,000 a week going up to like $10,000 to $15,000 a week, like $40,000 to $50,000 months in that 90-day period. We've seen people go from $0 to $5,000. We've seen all sorts of different results in different niches because of that 90-day bingo sprint that we have. So we're going to guide you through that. Not only that, but we have group calls with me every quarter. We're going to show you how to hire your first editor so you can start streamlining your content. So you're not the one creating your content, posting your content, all of that stuff. So there's like 10 different bonuses. We talk about the psychology of the voice with Tracy Goodwin, which is a very powerful training as well. We talk about messaging in a funnel, how to implement and improve your messaging after you launch and release content. We have a Facebook group. It's just so much. We have our entire workflow and outsourcing workflow. So again, you don't have to produce any content as well. We talk about how to use this inside of podcasting as well. But not only that, but we're going to give everyone a free ticket to our annual live event, New Generation Mastery live event, where the biggest breakthroughs always happen. So that's all that's included in the first program, New Generation Mastery. And we see people get amazing results all day long. We see people go through the program multiple times. When you enroll, you get lifetime access. Now, for those of you who are like, you know what, Brandon, that sounds great. I want all of that, but I need more help. We have something called the accelerator. This is new. We call this NGM Plus. It's New Generation Mastery Plus. It's our accelerator level, but you get all of that included that we just went over. Plus you get a 2-day private mastermind event. You get 5 one-on-one calls with coaches. Not only that, but there's bi-weekly group calls with me where you're guaranteed hot seats with me every 2 weeks. So I'm literally looking over your stuff every 2 weeks. So if you've ever seen me coach anyone live, put messaging together for anyone, that's literally going to happen for you every 2 weeks if you need it inside of the mentorship program. Not only that, but we have guest speakers that come in. We have our 7-figure webinar framework. We're going to create a webinar with you. We're going to create ads with you. We develop your sales process through those 2 things as well. So everything from ads to webinars, all that good stuff. Emails, we give you all of our launch emails from our last 7-figure launch. Every launch email that we ever sent is all given to you. There's monthly ad calls and more and more and more. There's just a lot of stuff included in that. But again, the reason why I'm sharing this with you and the reason why I wanted to do this episode is because there's a lot of people that will listen to the podcast or they hear me speak or they hear me talk and they understand the concept. They understand the concept of what I'm talking about. And a lot of you listening to this episode probably understand a lot of the concepts that I talk about. They probably helped you gain clarity or see the bigger picture or the vision or helped you realize, oh my gosh, my messaging is off, or showed you what to do. And some of you have been in that cycle for a year or more. Some of you have been listening to the podcast for a year, some of you 6 months, some of you a month. But you're still in a very similar spot to where you were when you first heard me. And the reason why is the magic inside of our program, and I hear this from people all the time, is like, I don't want to do another course. Great, this is not a course. Don't look at it as a course. This isn't like hey, do this step 1, step 2, step 3. What this is an implementation process. And you guys have to realize one way of implementation for one business is not the same way we need to implement messaging for another business. And we take that into consideration. So this isn't a copy paste cookie cutter sort of program. This is hey, let's follow this process, pay attention to the data. Let's adjust this way based on the data, because one person might do better with connection content or with very polarizing content or very polarizing messaging. One industry might do better, right? Like for me, I enjoy being polarizing, but there might be another messaging expert who doesn't enjoy being polarizing. And we take that into consideration because I would never tell them, hey, do more polarizing content. It's about you first. Do you want to do more connection, more compassionate content, more educational content? Great, do that. So we have Brandon, the messaging expert, who loves more polarizing, and that's who he is. That's why remembering who you are is so important. That's who he is. So do that. Brandon, you go do that. But messaging expert number 2, you want more educational and more connection? Great, you go do that. And that's the beauty in this program is that it is an implementation process based on who you are and what your industry is and what's going to work for you. And most people don't realize that. Most people don't realize that this isn't about a framework or understanding a concept. Yes, we need that. But if you're not able to fill that concept or that framework with the right language, the right topic, and what is aligned with you to attract the right person, those concepts and those frameworks still won't work, which is why most people who listen to a lot of our free stuff, our podcasts and our content and our workshops, never really, some of them do, but some of them don't. Some of you, and it might be you, just aren't seeing the results as fast as you would want. And that's because you understand the concept, but you don't see how to implement it in your specific business. And that is literally what this program is designed to do. It's to help you with the implementation. It's to help you figure out what's the right way to say it, how do we do this, what's going to be aligned with you, and fill it up with the right information. And so that's why I wanted to record this podcast, because if you're someone who's been listening to our podcast, going through our free stuff, you know messaging is off. You understand that your messaging is off, but you're still not able to get it right, get it dialed in. You might need the extra help that the program has to offer. And so the program is open for enrollment. You can go to brandonlucero.com/NGM and take a look. Now, one of the biggest mistakes that I see people make is they make a decision to join based off of the price. They go, oh, I can't afford it, or it's too much, or I'm going to try to figure it out on my own, and yada, 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 excuse. But I want you to imagine for a second, you're doing a webinar, and I know some of you listening, might be you listening right now, have had this experience where you're giving a webinar, you deliver your information, and you see in the comments, this was great, I'm going to implement this, and I appreciate your time. And you're sitting there going, looking at them going, man, there's so much more you still need to learn. You're not going to be able to fix all the problems using just the information in the webinar. And you watch them leave and try to do it on their own. Hopefully they get it, but chances are they won't. And how frustrating that is for you, not because you missed a sale, but for you because you want to help people. Well, the roles are reversed right now. That's you. You're the person who maybe you're not, maybe you're like, Brandon, I'm in, but maybe you're the person who's saying, oh, I can do it on my own. I can go implement it. I just need more of the free information. I don't have the time for it now. I had this and da 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 da. You're the person who's about to leave the webinar, the free training, thinking they can do it on their own, thinking they have everything they need, but still going to run into problems. And again, there's no right or wrong way. It's not bad if you don't invest. It's not good if you do. Although I like to think that it is. You all have your individual journeys, but I want you to make a decision from your internal heart and gut. Is this what I need now? Do I need messaging help? And if you have fear come into that, that is not gut, that is not intuition. Fear doesn't exist inside of intuition. Universe, the God, whatever you want to believe, it doesn't operate within fear. Look at your heart, look at the answers inside, and ask yourself, is this what I need to move the needle in the way that I want to move the needle? And if the answer is yes, then we have to get outside of that fear. One thing that I learned a long time ago in starting business is stop looking at the actual cost of the program and look at the opportunity cost that I'm losing by not getting in. How much revenue are you losing? But most importantly, how many lives are not being changed? Because you looked at the initial cost instead of the long-term benefit. The lives are going to be changed and the amount of revenue that you can make. Because if you truly believe that this is what you want to do, and you believe that you can be successful, and you believe that this program and having the messaging and having my help can make you get there, what you're saying no to if you don't join is you're saying no to that. You're saying no to that vision. You're saying no to the future potential income that you know you can make, the lives that can be changed. That's what you're saying no to. And sometimes we have to make those hard decisions to get in, not get in. Those uncomfortable decisions to get in, not get in. And for me, I just stopped using uncomfortability as a reason to not get the thing that I know I needed. Again, if you're sitting there and your gut is telling you this is not what you need, then don't join. I'm not going to force you. I don't want to force you to get in the program. You you don't want to get into. But if you're sitting there going like, man, this is what I need. And some of the easiest ways to do that, I would ask two questions, ask yourself two questions. There's two questions I would ask to really get to the core of, is this really what I need? Number one, actually it's three questions. Number one, is messaging actually the problem that I have in my business? That's number one. Is it actually the problem that I have in my business? And if the answer is no, then there's no point to joining. If your messaging is dialed in, your content's getting huge engagement, you have no problem getting people to show up, your conversions are great, like your ads are working, there's no need to get in the program. Don't come in because you're doing fine, right? Like things are scaling for you. Things are getting better and stuff's really good. You're not plateaued. Don't join. Like if you're like, I'm not really sure if I need it, my messaging is kind of great, then you're probably fine. Unless you want to join and just learn some extra stuff that could help, like, you're probably fine. But if the answer to question number one is like, my messaging is off. Yeah. My communication's off. I don't have clarity. People don't understand why they need to buy from me or listen to my content. Okay. That's number one. So you can move on to question number two. Question number two is, do I trust Brandon's ability to actually fix my messaging? And if the answer is no, then don't join. If you don't trust my ability to help you with your messaging, there's no point to join. It's not going to go well at all for you in the program. But if you do trust my ability to help you solve that problem, we can move on to question number three. And question number three is, do you trust my process to help you figure out messaging? So if you know messaging is the issue, you trust my ability, and you trust the process that we've developed after working with 2,000 different course creators that we spent 5 years creating, that we've used over probably even $6 million in ad spend just in my business alone, not including our clients, not including our students. I don't even know how much in millions we've spent successfully to develop this process. And I don't mean we spent millions developing the process. I mean, we literally spent millions of dollars running content, running ads, seeing what worked, getting opt-ins, running remarketing ads to figure out, and we put all of our messaging philosophy to the test to see if it actually works. And that's the process that you have. If you don't trust that process, then you shouldn't join. But if the answer is yes to all three of those, then sounds like it's probably going to be a pretty perfect fit. And I would love to have you inside the program. So to help you guys make a better decision, like I said, we've worked with thousands of people. We know very clearly who's going to see success in this program, who's not. We know what industries will work, what industries it will not work for. But I'll tell you this, if you're a course creator, a coach, or have a service, and you need messaging help, this is for you. However, to help you make that decision, we do have free calls that you can get onto with a coach. And we have a series of questions that we're going to ask, and we can tell right off the bat, you're a right fit or you're not. You're going to see success or you're not. If you're still on the fence, just hop on a call with a coach. If you go to brandonlucero.com/NGM, you'll see a book a call link right at the top. You can book a call with one of our coaches. They bring you through a series of questions, and they will literally analyze your business and you and dissect where the problem is with your messaging, if we can actually help you with it, maybe even help you determine what sort of results you can see in a certain sort of time frame. Just book a call with a coach, and we'll be more than happy to help you walk you through that process. Now, last year we did over 200 of these calls. It is very time consuming to do these calls. We are more than happy to do it. We love doing the calls. But what I want you guys to realize is we're doing these calls to help you make an educated, empowered decision. I don't want you coming into this program thinking it's not going to work or having doubts. We want you to feel confident that that's going to work for you, that this is what you need. It is helping you make that empowered decision so that when you come in the program, you can hit the ground running. You can do the 90-day sprint and start seeing results. So we put that together for you guys. So I think we even have like 6 coaches, maybe more, on standby, literally waiting to hop on calls with you guys. And so we have that available for you so you can make the right decision and the best decision for you and your business. So if you have any questions, let us know, book those calls. And for those of you who are like, okay, Brandon, I'm in, I just can't tell you guys, I'm so excited to be able to see you inside the program, welcome you into the program. And it's just like, sometimes I just have to pinch myself that I get to live my dharma every day for a living. And I just get to wake up doing what I love. And so that doesn't happen without you. And I'm just very, very grateful for that. Even if you deciding now is not the right time and you just came in for the live event, I'm still grateful for you. So thank you, everyone. Hope to see you guys inside the program. If you need any help with anything, let us know. Otherwise, I will chat with you soon. Take care.
Hey guys, thank you so much for checking out another episode of the New Generation Entrepreneur Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, go below, hit the subscribe button, and make sure you click on that bell icon and get notified every time we drop a new episode. Now, if you're looking for the show notes, we have them linked underneath this video, as well as our social media handles and some links to free training and offers that we drop from time to time to help you guys even further. So go check those out if you're interested, and thank you so much for tuning in to the New Generation Entrepreneur Podcast.